welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Tina and I'm a software engineer working at a FAANG company in New York City. And I like to make content about tech, lifestyle, finance, mindfulness, all sorts of things, and honestly, whatever I feel like. If you like this video that you see here today, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, a big change that I would like to announce is that instead of posting here on Mondays, I will actually post on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. EST. So in this video, I wanted to talk about a guide to moving to New York City. I have done it twice now because the first time I did it, I was a new grad, just graduated college, and I moved all the way from LA to the East Coast, and I moved into Garment District, my partner and my first apartment in the city, and it was super nice. I really enjoyed it, but then of course, you know who hit. So then we had to move into our not we had to, but we chose to move to our family's place. But then we moved back to the city in the new year. Now I have a very comprehensive list and guide to how to move to New York City. So that is what I'm going to show you today. I know a couple of my friends who just graduated this year, you know who you are, have actually asked me a lot of good questions about this. So I wanted to kind of make the best guide that I can. So all those times that I've searched for the apartments and toured the apartments, virtually toured the apartments, called the agent frantically at like 9 p.m. I've been there, so I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did or, you know, feel as sketched out as I did. That's why I'm making this video here for you today. So the first tip that I have is, of course, you gotta know the tools that all the New Yorkers are also using. The main tools that I would recommend today are StreetEasy. It's a very helpful site where you can look at all the apartments that are available. And I would say that more people use StreetEasy here in the city, more so than Zillow or any other platforms. I have seen people use apartments.com as well, but again, StreetEasy is the most comprehensive. You can also filter out amenities or features that you want within your apartment. For example, when I was moving in, I had to make sure that pets were allowed because of course I had my little Pomeranian named Airy with me. The second time around, the big thing for me was laundry in unit. It wasn't a huge deal breaker. I just wanted a laundry in unit or just within like an apartment building that I could go to. You can check off laundry in unit or laundry in building. The next one, it would be neighborhoods. Every day, this is my alarm clock. The next tool that I want to discuss is neighborhood scouts. I know that even now, a lot of people can't tour their place in person or see what the neighborhood is like. Neighborhood scouts is always a helpful tool to use to see how safe it is, if there are trains nearby, just like a good overview of what the neighborhood is like that you're moving into. So if you maybe, for example, you're searching on StreetEasy and you see, oh, I'm gonna be moving into Greenwich Village. I have no idea what Greenwich Village is like. I've never lived there. So maybe you wanna look that up on neighborhood scouts before you actually commit to an apartment there. The other thing is, of course, using Google Maps. So if you, again, are not touring the place in person, you can always do the street view and try to walk around in the neighborhood virtually. What I actually did was, because I know that I'm gonna be going to the office sometime in the fall, I just made sure that my commute was reasonable. I knew where the trains were. I knew how far it was from the trains. So just be sure to check those tools out before you continue on with your search. So the second tip that I have for you is just making sure that you look for apartments the earliest a month out, just because these apartments go so fast, especially in the summer. That's when people are trying to move to the city. Maybe some people have graduated and they're trying to move here to start their full-time careers. Maybe it will be more helpful for you to look for an apartment months in advance, just understand like the price range. But I would say don't seriously start looking for an apartment until like at least like a month or later in, because you might look at an apartment that you really, really like and you're super excited about it, but it's like 2 months till you move. And by that point, your apartment might get taken. And I'm telling you right now, the heartbreak that you have over a lost apartment is a heartbreak like no other. The brokers and the real estate agents might actually prioritize the people that can move here the soonest, because that just means that they can get the rent sooner. So that's another reason why you might want to look a little bit later. But of course, it's up to you. If you feel better about searching in advance, then be sure to do that. If you don't, then don't worry too much about it until a month in. The third tip that I have here for you is that broker's fees exist. For some reason, I had no idea what broker's fees were. I guess like when I was searching for apartments in SoCal, I never came across a broker's fee. This is very different from security deposit. Broker's fee is literally just like money going down the drain, I guess. I don't know if I would want to put it that way, but yeah, that's how I feel. You didn't even ask for the broker in the first place, but the people that list these houses online might be brokers and they might charge a broker's fee just for giving you a tour of the apartment or just showing you the apartments. I want to put that in your radar that those definitely exist. And if you don't want to pay a broker's fee, then just make sure to check that no broker's fee box in StreetEasy. Don't forget to do that. One time I forgot to do that and I found out a perfect apartment that I was so obsessed with, but then I realized I had a broker's fee and again, the heartbreak was real. So I don't want you guys to make the same mistake that I did. The broker's fee most likely likely will be 50% to 100% of 1 month's rent. So that is just straight out of your pocket, giving it to the brokers for not really doing that much. I'm sorry, brokers. I'm sure that there's a lot of behind the scenes work that they're doing, but just for like the potential tenants, it just feels like money down the drain. The fourth tip I have for you is knowing which windows face which way in your apartment. So right now we have 2 big windows that one faces north and one faces south. And that was super important for us to have windows that face south. So the sun actually follows a slightly southern east to west arc across the sky. So the south facing windows will definitely have the most intense sunlight. As you can probably guess already, north facing windows will probably have the least intensity. Just be wary of that. I would say the north facing windows again get the least amount of sun, south facing windows get the most, and then the east facing windows definitely benefit from morning sun because of course the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. But the west facing windows will probably get a little bit more sun than the east facing windows just because you have it for the full afternoon, and during the summer a lot of the times at the night too. West facing windows are definitely good enough kind of windows if you can't find an apartment with south facing windows. I would say that if you're a plant mom like I am, then you know what your plants need. So the fifth tip I had is something that I kind of had to learn the hard way, and that is make sure you know the square footage of your apartment. On StreetEasy, on Zillow, on other websites, a lot of the times listing agents and brokers, they will actually not list the exact square footage of the apartment. And honestly, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, like maybe they forgot to put it there. Oh, oopsie daisy. But no, they put that there on purpose. They put that there because they don't want you to be scared off by the small square footage. Because a lot of the times that they don't put the square footage there, you can most likely guess that it's under 500 square feet. And there is nothing wrong with under 500 square feet, especially if it's just you. The reason I think that knowing the square footage of your apartment is so important is so you can reference it against future apartments that you search. So maybe like you know that the apartment that you're currently living in is 400 square feet and you just realize that it's a little bit too small for you and your partner or just for you. So then the next time you go on the search, you want to make sure that you get a little bit bigger space than that space. Because sometimes like, you really can't tell with all the closet spaces and sometimes how ridiculously big the bathrooms are compared to like the actual room itself. So people can just like say that the square footage is very big, but the closets are the ones that take up all that square footage anyways. The good thing to ask is just like, what is the square footage of this apartment and what is the square footage of this apartment without the closet space? That's just a good thing to know and just a good thing to note for future as well. So the sixth tip I have for you is knowing which side you're going to be commuting to. So for your work, or maybe like your parents or your family friends live on a certain side of Manhattan. So if you look at Manhattan, a lot of the times trains are very split amongst like the west and the east side. So you just want to make sure that wherever you're living, you're on the same side as where you're going to be commuting to the most. Obviously there are trains that can definitely go from the east to west or west to east. There are definitely trains that exist like that. In my opinion, it's a little bit more inconvenient. There are so many more trains that just go north and south and on the same side. If your work is maybe in the east side, then your best bet would be looking on the east side as well as Brooklyn, because I mean Brooklyn is also in the east side. And maybe if you're commuting most on the west side, then maybe living on the west side or in somewhere in New Jersey might be a really good choice for you. You don't have to be super strict about this. I would just say that it's really convenient if you did live on the same side. So the seventh tip I have is just checking if there are express trains near where you are thinking of living, because these express trains are literally lifesavers sometimes. A little story time, if you will. I actually went to someone's going away party in the Upper West Side, and I actually had a Broadway show that I was supposed to see 2 hours later on like 42nd Street. So it was a long trek, I would say, even though I left literally I think like 10 minutes or less to go to make that Broadway show. I made it in time, surprisingly, because I took an express train. So one of the express trains actually take you from 72nd all the way down to Broadway, complete straight shot to get to the Broadway shows. So that's why it was so convenient for me to just like leave like 10 minutes in advance, not even. Just check whether there are express trains are nearby. I wouldn't say this is like a total deal breaker at all. You'll definitely survive without these express trains. But in case you are curious, express trains are for the Reds, I think it's number 2, 3, the 4, 5 are Lexington Avenue Express. The A train is an express train, that's on the blue line. The D train is also an express. I believe that's the orange line. The N train, which is the yellow line, is also an express, as well as the Q train. If you know that you want to live a little bit further away from where you're commuting, just check if there's an express train nearby, and maybe it won't be that far anyways. So the 9th habit I have for you is have all your papers and the money that you would need to secure a apartment just ready. And in terms of the money that you need to have prepared, that would mean the security deposit, the application fee, first month's rent, and sometimes the last month's rent. Just prepare compare by taking reference to the average rent of the neighborhood that you're looking at maybe. And also I would say something that's more relevant now is during this time, a lot of landlords and a lot of apartment buildings are actually doing sales where they're saying, oh, you get 3 months free, like 6 months free. These deals are really just to hook you in and make you pay more the next year because they won't have those offers for the next year. So even if you're saving 3 months rent this year, you definitely will be paying that all in full the next year. I know that some of you are like, oh, well then I could just move. But it's seriously a pain in the ass to move in the city. I do not recommend it. If you know that you're gonna be here in the city for 5 years, just stay put where you are most of the time unless it's awful. It's best to just not move in the city because it's so freaking expensive and hard. The last thing that I want to mention is just a quick fire of all the things that you should ask your real estate agent or the broker or whoever you're trying to get this apartment from. So the 8 things that you have to mention, and I'm reading the notes here. Ask them any amenity fees. Is there a dryer, washer in unit? If not, where can I launder, and is it coin operated? Will the landlord be paying for any utilities such as gas, water, electricity? It's really common actually, especially if you live in an older building in New York City, that the gas and the water might be free. Is there any parking space and how much of the price is? If you have pets, ask for the pet fees. I've seen from a range of you have to pay one-time fee of $500 and sometimes you have to pay $50 a month for the pet. So it really depends. Sometimes they're completely free. Also ask about the central air, if there's central air, or if it's a radiator operated apartment. Ask if the apartment is a walk-up, if you're seeing this virtually. If so, how many stairs up, because you might have to pay your movers a lot more if a 5-stair walk-up versus a 2-stair walk-up. Asking the square footage of the apartment, as I said in I think the second point of this. Those are all the tips that I have here for you today. I'm so excited for those of you who are moving to the city. There's so many aspects to love about the city. So yeah, I'm just really excited for those of you that are moving here. If you have any other questions about moving to the city, just let me know in the comments below, and any other video topics that you're interested in. Thank you all so much for sticking around for this video, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye!